the first time I've done a live stream from my phone, so let me figure out the chat here real quick. Okay, they're all popping up there. Cool, cool. Hi, Tony. Hi, Bocce. Hi, Rail. Hi, Shell. How is everyone doing this evening? Yes, it's been a while since I've done a live stream. It's been a long while. Set the phone against something sturdy here. There we go. Hey, Hilltop. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with remembering people's names. Everyone should check out Hilltop Machine Shop's videos. They are very cool. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Been very busy in the shop today. Thought I'd jump on here. It's actually cool this evening. Hilltop Machine Works, sorry. I don't know if you watched that video where I made the bearing thing the other day. I almost scrapped that part. I got real lucky. When the insert, I was doing the bore for the bearing fit, and the last cut, I didn't notice, but the corner was taken off the insert. So I put a new insert in it, and I didn't re-indicate it. So I made the next pass, and thankfully, randomly, it ended up right where I needed it to be. But yeah, that's me not thinking, but it turned out okay. Let's see here. So yeah, just digging around the shop. Picked up another engine driven welder at a yard sale today, Miller. My press is 100-ton. I think the pump is a little, I'd probably say it's about 80, 85 right now. I can tell there's some pump in it or some wear in it. But you gotta be careful with it. I want to get another one of those Harbor Freight 20-ton little presses or something similar to that, because that press has no feel. It either pushes something in or it destroys it. So yeah, I'd definitely like to get another press, maybe a 50-ton, like a hand press, so you get kind of a feel. I got the C-frame press, but I think that's I want to use for bro. Oh, I got back there. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. Over here. Yeah, it's been in the high hundreds here. Starting to cool off. Yeah, I apologize in advance for any internet issues. They are converting my area to fiber optic. I don't know what, I'm not a computer person or internet person. I don't know what all that stuff is. So, but I know that they said there'd be interruptions. So I apologize for that right now. Going to look at a pretty well-tooled turret lathe, a big turret lathe, not like my little Logan out back, but a big one. So that'll be super cool. Along with some other machines that might come along with it. Because as you know, I cleaned up the shop, so now there's empty space. So I need to immediately fill that with other machines. So there's too much walking room. There's too much working and walking room in here right now. Oh, the cats are all safely inside, out in the shop. But I've been very busy lately. A lot of pump work, pump pad mounts, stuff like that. It's always cool to find that other engine-driven welder today. It's not a big fancy. It's not a Miller Bobcat or anything. It's the older ones with the Wisconsin engine. I have room for a few more Lawson things. It's the track to my door is the limiting factor over there. But sadly, I've got all the reasonably priced assortments. So everything else is kind of expensive. Thank you, Tony. I think of myself a very laid back person and don't take things too seriously. I just enjoy machining and all that stuff. So I don't try to over technical it, if that's the way to put it. But I don't make parts for like the space shuttle or stuff like that. So I'm a repair machinist. So. Really liking the way the shop's set up now. There's a nice flow to it. Especially with the 14-inch and the 15-inch lathes. Being next to each other is handy. Actually, was looking at another lathe today. It's a couple hours away. It's only $500, but it's old. So I'm gonna see how this turret lathe stuff pans out because it comes with a lot of tooling. There's another old Regal, LeBlanc Regal lathe that comes with it too. So. It is very much word of mouth. I do a lot of work for people, and they I thank them very much for spreading the word. I advertised locally for, especially like welding and stuff, but I was getting like a lot of people just wanted like exhausts, mufflers and stuff welded in. I didn't want to mess with stuff like that. So I just kind of leave it word of mouth, and I treat my customers very well. They refer me to a lot of people, which tells me I probably need to charge them more. But I'm willing to, especially, I have a big soft spot in my heart for small farmers, getting their stuff fixed. So, a 70-year-old man calls you and he's belling his field and a part broke on his thing, and you're rushing, 9, 10 o'clock at night to weld something back on it. It's the satisfaction of helping him get his machine going so he can get his stuff done. But yeah, it's spreading. So some larger farms are starting to contact me for pump work. I do a lot of pump work. Trimming impellers, machining occasionally the wear rings in them, in the volutes, making pad mounts for when they change from I don't know how much you guys work with pumps, but a lot of the people here are going to close couple pumps instead of pad mounts that have the rubber bushing between the motor and the pump. So changing up stuff like that. It's somewhat rural. There's a lot of small towns around me uh, that have small farms. When I moved, I lived in a more rural area before I moved where I am 3 years to this place now, 3 years ago. But I'm only, again, half hour, 45 minutes away from those areas. So, but they keep me in work, and also when you do work for small farmers, they keep you in locker beef too. So, kind of an added bonus. I'm not at the point where I'm going to fully advertise yet because I don't have the time. I between everything else, because I have a full time day job too, and then I do this. I don't want to get to the point where I tell people I'm like a week away from fixing their stuff. So we'll see. See how it goes. You know, as you get a bigger customer base, you know, all that changes. So yeah, then I do a lot of work for. I got a buddy that owns a commercial lawn care company. There's actually two or three of them. So I do a lot of their maintenance, and a lot of stuff's really easy. So if you're looking for easy work during the summer, if you can, you know, especially welding, I do a lot of deck repairs and stuff on big commercial mowers, bearing replacement, stuff like that. Hey, David. Um, you know, that's a lot of not very hard work. I rebuilt a lot of hydraulic cylinders. I do a lot of hydraulic cylinder work. I need to start showing more of that, but a lot of it's in the field. And I'm looking at getting another portable line boring setup. I think it was a York. Yeah, it was a York, and the gearbox grenaded on it. I used to do a lot of line boring and then turn turn bushings to fit. I didn't do much bore welding. My setup had the positioner for that. I prefer to make new press-in bushings. Um, I do bore welding. I know you can set some of them to skip and stuff, but when you have oil holes and stuff in there, it's just easier for me to make bushings. No, Tony, it's it's getting there. Hey, Kentucky Trapper, very dedicated subscriber and video watcher. Hey, Nick. Yeah, let's get another line barn set up because there's always a call for that. I actually have a buddy that made a boring head adapter to fit into his mag drill, and he does. He on smaller, thinner arms, he gets away with it, and does a pretty good job. It actually does a pretty good job. Made his own boring head, you know, and I forget what kind of mag drill he has. I'm sure anything Curtis has is miles above what I will ever have. I do very much enjoy his channel. He's got a lot of cool stuff. I like how he completes most of his jobs in one video. Um, very, very cool channel to watch. And then it's funny, I don't know if you've seen this on comments in your videos. You know, we'll do a machining project and they'll say, hey, Curtis at, you know, Cutting Edge Engineering has this setup. You should try that. I'm like, well, I don't have the budget that he has, let's say. So sometimes I have to make do. So we have a very cool channel. I've stopped watching about half the YouTube machinist channels I used to watch, and watch a lot of the smaller guys now, and a few of the big ones like Curtis. Yeah, he definitely has some cool stuff. Very cool and very large. Check the chat here. Hi, Mid Atlantic Tool. Thanks for checking it out, or checking this out. So yeah, I have to get our line boring set up. I'm going to set up another service truck. I am about 80% self-taught. Uh, my grandpa was a machinist. He showed me some things, and all my welding, everything is self-taught. All the running of my machines is self-taught. There's things to say about going to, apprenticeships and stuff. I'm good on my machines. I'm used to my machines. But no, just learning everything, trial and error. I've burned through a lot of metal, and especially in the early days, I scrapped a lot of parts. But when you're young, just getting into it, that's okay. Welding, I took to pretty. I do a lot of welding. I know I don't show a lot of it on the channel. I think the welding community is one of the most toxic commenter base you can have. No matter how you weld something, you always did it wrong. So I don't show a lot of it. 90% of my welding is stick welding. I do MIG welding too. I have a TIG set up for my big miller. I've never touched it. I've done some TIG welding on I think it was an ESAB machine. Just a little bit, but most I do is out in the field, so it's stick welding. And yeah, I watch some welding videos, and all it is everyone, you did that wrong, you did this wrong, you're an idiot, you're a moron. So I don't show a lot of that. Not that I think very surprised the people that view my videos. I get very few negative comments, which I appreciate. Yeah, I have two. If we're talking about welders, I have two engine-driven welders. I have a Ranger 7. I think it's a Ranger 7. I don't remember the number. And I just picked up one today. It's a Miller. It's not a Bobcat. It's an older model with the. I've had chances to buy the SA 200s and stuff, but man, you pay a lot for that name. And I have another welder I work very closely with, and he uses Rangers on everything, and loves them. So, and I like my Ranger. Yeah, the machinist community is very good. I very much enjoy the machinist community, as a whole on YouTube. At least the part that I dwell in. I really need to watch more people. I watch Hilltop. I forget all their names now. Max Grant. I watch Keith Rucker. I used to watch Adam or A-Bomb. I don't watch him anymore. A couple smaller guys, Craig Tate, Brian Block, very, very underrated. He should have 10 times the subscribers he has. Brian, he very much like his channel. Um, yeah, I think I don't get about the negativity people put on videos. If I watch a video I don't like, I just stop watching it. I don't feel the need to say, hey, you did that wrong. You didn't do that how I would do that. You're stupid. I just don't watch it again. I mean, I guess there's people with more time out there than me to criticize these things. Hey, Daniel. Thanks for checking out the stream. I'm pretty sure he used to have videos up before. I used to watch his videos as well. I liked, he hasn't posted videos in a long time, but Michael Reggae. He did a lot of repair work, bore welding, normal or boring, welding, some other stuff. I really enjoyed his channel, love his videos, and he caught so much hate on his comment section. That's probably what drove him away. But awesome guy, awesome work he did. He was probably the first. Oh, that's probably one of the first machinists and like job shop channels I started watching. Check the chat here. Thank you, Tony. I'm not starved, just me. So yeah, hopefully be adding a big turret lathe to the shop. That'd be cool. The guy used to do production runs on it for tractors. I'm sure bushings and stuff like that. It's a big machine. I looked up I don't remember the model of it. It's not a Warner Swayze. I'm not gonna remember right now. It's a 9 or 10,000 pound machine, so pretty solid. Yeah, hopefully that pans out. I gotta do some work on the vise for my shaper coming up. It actually probably the first videos I do on my surface grinder. The wear surfaces on a movable jaw. It's always lifted like a lot of shaper vices do, but it's excessively lifting. So I need to do some work to the bottom clamping plates. I think I'll leave the frame of it alone, just do all the work on the jaw. I'll pull the jaw off and do a bunch of measuring and see how it looks. But it's lifting a little more than I like for what I use it. I mean, if you know it lifts a lot, you can adjust for it, and it's not as big a deal. I'd like to not have to do that. I'm making some toolbars for the indexable toolbars for the shaper for cutting internal splines and stuff like that. Thought about hard facing the vise and jaws. I haven't gotten much into any of that stuff as far as like hardening and oven and stuff and all that. See. No, my day job, I do not have a machine shop. So, I work for an irrigation district. You guys didn't know that. I hard face a lot of backhoe buckets when like doing tooth repairs and stuff like that. I hard face the sides of them. A lot of guys want the sides hard faced. Again, I haven't showed a lot of that. I used to re-ear a lot of buckets because a lot of the there's a lot of auctions around here. So a lot of farmers and stuff buy used buckets that don't fit their machines, and we re-ear them. And I used to do a lot of that too, and replace the teeth and hard face the sides at the same time. A lot of the places around here have very rocky soil, so there's a call for it. I've hard faced some big ride-on trencher chains. The offset teeth that are on ride-on trenchers. And the hard facing rods I use I get from Lawson, so they have their own proprietary Lawson number. But I should probably look into getting something. I'm sure I'd get something cheaper through Lincoln. Who would I pay? It's been a while. It's been a couple of years since I've done any hard facing. Oh, okay. Hey, James. Thanks for checking out the stream. Yeah, I need to do... Yeah, with another machine it'd be a lot easier, but those machines never come up for sale around here, never. I'm in a barren wasteland of machines. So the machines that are in this area are used and horribly wore, or I have to drive 5-6 hours to find them. So I make do, like a lot of small machine shops do. I would love a slotting machine, but I can make an indexing head for my shaper, so that will solve the problem for some of it. I'm going to do a video on it. I cut internal splines with broaches. I have a indexing, Yakima, no, I'm in the Tri-Cities, so I'm about 45 minutes, 50 minutes from Yakima. Forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, I made some pseudo accurately indexing broaching plugs, where you broach one side, and then you put a piece of I precision cut some key stock to locate it, and they have. I used a rotary table at a buddy's place, and I have one for 6 spline. Of course, you have to make it for different diameters. 6 spline, 8 spline, something else. So I'll probably do a video on that. And then I got a very cool video coming up where I make an indexing plug for one of my lathes with a cam degree disc. So I stole that idea from my uncle. I'm on the lookout for a pseudo big radial arm drill. I could really use a radial arm drill. Because there's a diesel shop that I make these adapter plates for. Well, he cuts out the plates on his CNC plasma table. I drill and tap. There's 24 or 20 holes in it, but I do a lot of them. They're 1 inch thick. And it'd be really handy just to be able to clamp that to the table and just move the head around. Instead of doing it on I got the big 3 horsepower drill press. There's a lot of shifting of everything. It just greatly speed up that process. And I like a vertical turret lathe. And I know where there's one. It's just sitting there, waiting to come to the shop when the time is right. Just gotta let get the guy to get rid of it. Because I do some bigger pump cases, and VTL would come in handy. It's resurfacing mounting flanges, cutting in the wear rings if you have to. Where the wear ring goes into the case, the volute housing. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes those will wear. I do use my mill sometimes for them. I do mostly lathe work. I do have the one mill going, but they're so big. There's 30. No, probably not 30 inches. They're good sized. The table on a drill press is just bigger, so it's less positioning with less overhang and stuff like that. So I've just been using the drill press for them. And plus, I'm a big drill press fan. So, always a #1 drill press. Also, a universal horizontal mill would be super cool. And on my big LeBlanc, which I'm leaning on right now, I've been able to do some pump houses, pump housings. But the big, Cornell, 4HHs and stuff, they're just too big. They're a little too big for this machine. I need a bigger lathe. I need a big swing lathe with a very short bed. A lot of Axelsons are like that. The swing is 22 on my big LeBlanc. Well, that's the advertised swing. Depends what you're cutting. It would do 26, I think. Actual. 24. Don't remember offhand. It has an 18-inch chuck on it. And there's plenty of room. Oh yeah, it's a good sized lathe, especially for a shop. I am looking at a 24-inch swing, but it's significantly older, so I don't think I'm going to get it. It's only $500 for a 24-inch swing. It's a lathe, so like my Reed Prentice lathes, it predates those. Still has a geared headstock, but it's old. It's quite old. So most of my machines now are in the 40s. So I've updated quite a bit. I don't know if any of you guys remember the old Hendy lathe I had. The speed range on it, I want to say the top speed was 520. Very similar to my 14-inch Reed and the big LeBlanc. Tops out at a blistering 520. That's a good thing about the 15-inch Hypermac. It has some RPMs to her. Actually, when it comes to moving those the big lathe, that UHMW stuff is amazing. It has been a game changer for moving stuff in my shop. The advertised or the book weight for this machine is it was 14,600 pounds. The rollback wrecker that dropped it off, it squatted it pretty good. And with the tail stock end on a floor jack, 3-ton Harbor Freight floor jack, and the headstock end on 2 UHMW slider feet, I put a chain come along on the back of my shop and was able to pull it in. My floors in here are painted, so they're very smooth. But as far as unloading and loading stuff on trailers, get yourself some big half-inch thick sheets of that UHMW. It's amazing how easily you can move stuff. Sometimes when you're loading stuff, unloading it from Tilt-Deck trailer, you have to be a little careful. So the Franken mill is up and running and doing very well, and I'll have a video on it. This week or next week, I got a keyway job coming in, and everyone loves it. Everyone who comes into the shop and sees the mill and looks at it closely just loves it. And I love it. Yes, with the headstock from the lathe powering it, it takes up way too much room. I could get, with some different belting, a VFD would pretty much do the same thing. But I love it. And that's a good sized horizontal milling machine. I don't know if it shows up in the videos much, but that's a big mill. So it comes in handy. But yeah, I'm going to do more videos on it. I like running it. It's all old, and so it's, the power feed gearbox is very clanky and stuff like that. I love that machine. I just wish I could gear down. The slowest speed on it is 15 RPM. I'm going to try and find a way to feed it slower, so I can use it as a welding positioner too, to get more use out of the feed on it. Because all it is a number 5 Morse taper input. So I can make any kind of output shaft out of Morse taper tooling. Because I bought a bunch of off eBay. They're Jacob chucks with, there's no chucks on the end, they're just the shafts. They're 5 Morse taper by whatever Jacob's taper. And I can modify those to fit anything I want. I made a drawbar for it. So that'd be a thing. It has a 3-horse motor on it. I could put a VFD on it just to make it into a welding positioner. So yep, it's coming right along. Doing some work on the press. I got one of my 48-inch pipe wrenches has kind of a banana handle. And I thought about doing a video on straightening it on YouTube. I don't know about that. Bolt. I don't even put power drawbars on my milling machines. It's not that big of a deal. I don't swap the stuff very much. I set it up for a certain end mill, and that's pretty much all I use in them. The guy I sold the... Hey, Theo! The other Big Reed Prentice 2, the 18-inch, he has it up and running, which is very cool. He'll get a good use out of it. Hidden World Forge is his YouTube channel. I definitely check it out. He did an awesome job putting that thing back together, considering I gave it to him with in a bunch of parts. So it took a little bit, but yeah, he got it. So I'm very happy for him to have that machine. I just couldn't justify the space both the big giant lathes took up. So, but here's the pipe wrench I was going to put in the press. It's got a little bit of a sideways banana curve to it. Someone was probably using it sideways to open valves. Very common. So I was thinking I'm going to put it in, I might put it in the press and straighten it. I don't know if I'll show a video on that or not. Contacted Rigid, they'll actually send me a new handle, but I got to pay for the shipping to send the handle to them. So yeah, they've been doing that, getting the rest of the 2 3-phase MIG machines going. They have cords and stuff on them now. Ordered some parts for that Miller feeder for the Miller 3-phase MIG machine. And then the Lindy's pretty much ready to go. I just need to get a new gas regulator for it. There'll be videos coming up on the Cincinnati, I can never remember the number for it, 1-12 or 2-12, the pseudo-automatic machine. I've been doing a lot of work on that off camera. A lot of parts pulled off it and cleaned up and painted. So that's a cool machine. I want to get it going. I cut a lot of keyways because I do a lot of work for farmers. They buy new machines at the auctions. We always go through them. They change shafts and stuff like that. So I cut a lot of keyways. So horizontal machines are excellent for that. Yeah, then I'm going to do a video on the hydraulic cylinder I'm pulling off my hydraulic lift outside. Hey, Ken. That tire crane thing, I need to get back to that. The driveway is looking real nice right now for people that come by. But yeah, I need to get that done. There's a punch list a mile long of things I need to get working on. And I'm always looking at new machines, so that always adds to it. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, people hit that like button. There's 21 people in here. That's the most I've ever had in any of my live streams. So as most appreciated. A tip of the cap to all you fine people for an impromptu live stream. Yeah, I'm trying to show more of the, as you guys have noticed, I'm showing more of the machining work I do. So a lot of it's not super interesting, which when you have a job shop, most of what you do is not super interesting. It's cutting a lot of bores and turning stuff to size. We're not always making parts for machines and all, super cool stuff like that. It's very repetitive, very common stuff. So I'm going to show a lot more of my hydraulic cylinder work. I got 2 cylinders in right now. I got the hydraulic cylinder for the hydraulic lift I need to do. So I'll be showing you how to rebuild those more. It's not hard. Besides getting the gland nut off sometimes, it's really not hard. So it's a good thing to get into because people think it's harder than it is. But finding the seals can sometimes be the hardest part of it, especially if there's no barrel number on it or anything. So yeah, things are moving right along. I'll do a video this week on that engine-driven well. There's going to be 2 videos. A buddy of mine bought a Yes welder. It's a MIG, TIG, stick, and plasma cutter machine. So he wants me to go through it with him. So I'm going to do an unboxing and pseudo review of that next week. Because they're very economically priced. They're like, it was like 800. It's a crowdsourcing thing, I guess. I don't know what that is. But it's like $800 or something for a MIG, TIG, and stick machine and a plasma cutter. So it'll be the first multi-process machine like that I've messed with. I'm a big fan of transformed machines. All my welders are big and huge. I like a transformed machine in the shop. The proven reliability of that setup. The little Hobart's an inverter, of course, but I like transformed machines. So we'll see. For the cost, if it's at all decent for $800 for a machine that will do that kind of stuff. Yeah, very true, Theo. It can, in my opinion, a machine does one thing very well or many things kind of okay. So, the big power source machines I have that are like CC and CV, they can do dual purpose stuff. It's weird that it's a welder and a plasma cutter. So I'm interested to get into the box and see what it comes with. So yeah, check that out. And I believe it's 110 or 220. It has one of those switch plug things in it where it automatically knows what you plugged into it. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting into it. Good to hear about your shoulder there. I enjoy the shaper. I use it a lot. I use it as often as I can, I'll say. So I try to find jobs to do on it. Shapers are cool. And when I make that indexable cutting head for it, I'm looking forward to that project. I actually got a dial. It's off of a lathe or something like that. Or no, it's not off a lathe because it's incremented in degrees. So I'm going to. It's about 1.5 inches. So about 1.5 inches. I'm going to make it fit that indexable thing. So I'm going to really try to figure that out as far as making the piece for it, because that would be handy. Yep, you can cut gears on a shaper. I see that, Bocce. And you were the first here, and that is super cool. I've cut chain drive sprockets on the shaper, custom grinding a high-speed steel tool to fit it. That does not come. That kind of job does not show up often, but I did a weld repair on a sprocket and recut some of the teeth. The customer was just like, just take a file to it or a die grinder and get it close. I was like, I see what I can do to get it a little closer than that. That's the thing about doing jobs for small farmers. They bring you all these weird projects, and you do what the customer asks you to do. And but sometimes the more the customer tells you what they're doing, you shake your head more and more, and like, there's other ways to do this that are much better, but if you want me to make it like this, I'll make it like this. I offer suggestions. especially when it comes to saving them money. I I know it sounds counterintuitive. I don't like to spend people's money. If they tell me what they want me to do and it's going to take me 3 hours to do it, but another way has the same result and I can do it in one, I will do it that way. Because people think you throw something in a lathe and, a half hour, 45 minutes, it should just magically be done. Multiple diameters and stuff with bearing fits and stuff like that and threading. So if I can get a customer the same result quicker with a few suggestions, I will gladly offer that to them. So, but I've made a lot of just, they come in with these requests for these modifications for like threshing machines and stuff like that, and I don't know where they're thinking. I do not know. I make the part I'm told to make. I made a part for a guy earlier this year where he wanted the bearing to be a weld fit, where he could put 3 tack welds on the outside of the bearing so he could replace it in the future if the bearing went out. And I've never... What's a weld fit for a bearing? I was like, sure you don't want like a thou or two? It was a 3-inch bearing. He's like, no, I'm just going to tack weld it in there so it's easy to fix. I'm sure the bearing, I'm sure the bearing loved that. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, they are. They're saving good with me. I've met a lot of cool people too. And then of course I have a soft spot for old veterans as well. So they get super deals. Yeah, some 60, 70-year-old, veteran has a well that needs fixed and he needs it fixed, because his crop's dying. He jumps up in the priority list a little bit. So, yeah, they've been keeping me busy. I don't know if you people who repair stuff, I've noticed this more. With the parts availability of some stuff, a lot more people are having stuff fixed than just repaired. So I've been fixing a lot of things like mower spindles, bore them and stuff like that. And I've noticed I'm fixing a lot more things that are in that couple $100 range for a new part that they would normally just replace, or I would recommend they just replace, but they're like 6 to 8 or 12 weeks out. So that's been very interesting this year, fixing a lot of smaller parts. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed that. Because someone brings a part to me they can get off the shelf for like $100 or $150. I just tell them to buy a new one. I go with my minimum and stuff like that. You're better off with a new one. So, but some stuff is I'm sure you all know, it's crazy. Especially electronic stuff like VFDs for pumps. Man, some of that stuff is like 3 months out. I do some pump wiring and stuff like that where I use a lot of VFDs. Would you say to get a larger old lathe that you'd have to tinker on? That depends on the kind of product you're trying to put out. I've had some ancient lathes. My old Hindi was from 1918. As long as it's in decent shape, they're not the easiest things to learn on, the older machines, because there's a lot of lost motion in them, just how they're designed. Everything's big and clunky. They're big. You can do a lot with a like a 14-inch lathe is an awesome sized lathe. 95% of stuff that comes through a shop can be done on a 14 or 15-inch lathe. I'm not a big fan of benchtop lathes just because rigidity. Get an somewhat older lathe. All right, thanks for stopping by. With the cast bases, I'm a big fan of late 80s Taiwanese machines. My Taida was one. I love that machine. I get a floor-mounted, smaller lathe. The spindle speeds are going to be higher. As you get an ancient lathe, it's going to top out at 500 or 600 RPM. There's this. I would get a smaller, more modern machine. You'll get a lot more use out of it. Most people do not need a Hindi or a LeBlanc from the 40s that has an 18-inch swing. Hey, Cajun. Jets are fine. I'm a big fan of jets. Okay, again, yeah. I was texting him the other day. Yeah, the big machines are cheap. If you want a lathe with a 16, 18-inch swing for $500, you can get yourself some big flat belt dinosaur. And I used to run a lot of those machines, but a newer, smaller machine you will get much more use out of. Especially get one with with the modern spindles and stuff like that. Standard tapers, no Jarno tapers and stuff you have to mess with. Yes, V-belts are better. My shaper's a flat belt, and I've never had the belt slip. It's got one of those 4-speed, quad drives or something like that. It's got a V-belt on one side and a flat belt on the other. And I've never slipped that on the shaper, and I've taken some accidental super heavy cuts on it. Yeah, I like the old Atlases. You can do a lot of good work on those 12-inch lathes. You can. Limited by a few things, but for 90% of people, there ain't nothing wrong with those lathes. I've never ran one of those little Harbor Freight ones, because around here you get a big lathe for about the same price as those. I've never messed with any of the mini lathes, as it were. I got a buddy with one of those 13, the Grizzly lathe everyone has, the 13 by 36 or something like that, the tabletop one. And he loves that thing, and he has full-on machine shop, and he does it for smaller stuff. See how the chat's going here. Yeah, Monarchs are nice. There's none over here. They never show up. And the one that did, there's a very large auction house here. And there's a machine shop that will send stuff to the auction. But they always damage them to make sure they're unusable for another shop. There was a Monarch I forget the year and the size, but it was hard to tell on the back way. Someone took an angle grinder to it and dished it. So, and there's been a couple machines that have showed up like that with purpose damage done to them. So they usually take them there with no tailstock and no compound. So at that point, I don't know why you just don't take them to the scrap yard if you don't want someone else to use it. But it's sad that they do that. But and I know the guy who has the shop that does that. Yes, it is, and the sad part is a lot of people don't notice stuff like that because they're nice looking machines, and you really look at it, and you're like, someone. And it was noticeable when they dished out that rear way with that grinder. Yeah, it is. So his was closed. He tired and stuff. So I'm also worried about buying. If you're buying a lathe with a gearhead box or a geared headstock, and you can see like the oil gauge and stuff, and it looks like someone's been in the headstock recently, be very wary of that lathe unless you can see it under power, because they'll show up here and you can see where the bolts for the headstock cover have been recently on and off. There's fresh oil in it, and that typically means there's something wrong with it. They tried to fix it, it didn't work, and now it's at the auction. So that's something to be mindful of a gearhead lathe that you cannot see run. I would be very wary about buying one. So, because it only takes, depending on the gear, and there are 1 or 2 broken teeth, and then you have a headache. You have a headache on your hands. Or they, on those Colchester rainbow wheels, that Colchester Triumph 2000s, mine's a Hypermac. They made them under a couple different names. There's a plastic tube that runs from the oil pump to the front and rear main bearing. And if those tubes slip off, it smokes those bearings. And they're very expensive, and it's a very common issue with them. I actually went through mine and secured them physically so they can't come off. Yeah. People put lots of... I hate when people take stuff like that to the auctions and use, problems like that, but you get more in an auction than you do at a scrapyard. I'll probably hang here for another 10 minutes or so, and then got some stuff to do tonight. I'm sharpening. Let me grab it. I got some drill bits are going to be sharpening on the channel here soon. There's one of them. As you can see, there's an issue with that drill bit. This is a 1 7/8. So that's one of them we'll be doing. And we'll be doing this one too. Knocking stuff over. This is, as you can see, it's magnetized a little bit. This is a 2 23/32 drill bit. So that takes some horsepower to run. There's one more, and this is just a 21/32. So we're doing some large drill bit grinding by hand. Those are big drill bits. And the big LeBlanc has a 10-horse motor, and it'll push them. I wish I had a gear reduction tailstock, because those are good for pushing big bits. I've never used many spade bits. I have a few of them, but I never think to grab them. I got some spade bits up to about 3-inch, I think. Just some random sizes. But I don't think I've ever ran a spade bit in any of my machines. There's going to be some videos coming soon on the big pedestal grinder. The 24-inch double wheel grinder. I'm doing some stripping now to into the sandblaster, but that is a big grinder. Yeah, I heard that, Rail. But I want to get that big pedestal. That pedestal grinder is totally in Pratt's shop, but I cannot get rid of it. The wheels are 24-inch in diameter and they're 3 inches wide. 5-horse. It's a 5 or 10-horse 3-phase motor on it. I've ran a 2 1/4-inch spiral bit on the LeBlanc with no problem. Of course, it's so slow. Not having the gear reduction tailstock, when your lathe is just naturally slow, it helps a lot. Gotta get those ground up and see how we do. We're gonna grind them by hand on the grinder. They won't fit in my drill dock. So yeah, I started doing a grinder here, one of the many projects. And I would probably pull that gas-powered welder I got at the yard sale today in here. Probably tonight and start tinkering on it. You can't have too many engine-driven welders when you do field work. And you don't need an SA200 to do good field work. You can do it with pretty much any gas-powered welder. It's not saying I wouldn't want an SA200, but I love my Ranger. It's not diesel. It has a Kohler. Kohler Command engine in it, I think. Yep, lots of oil for sure. And when you run those big drills, a nice cleaned up tailstock quill is essential. The quill on the LeBlanc does not have a spot for a tang. You can see completely through the tailstock quill from one end to the other. I've never had a lathe that had that before I got this. So I cleaned up the taper with a number 5 reamer. So you have to make sure that your quill taper is good when you're running big drill bits. Yeah, I'm actually going to set up another truck. I recently picked up a gas-powered air compressor and picked up that welder. I'm going to make a boom, probably a 10 or 15 foot adjustable boom for lifting smaller stuff. And throw some extra oxyacetylene bottles and stuff on there. My Ranger is a 225, and I've never needed more than that on it. I actually don't know what the Miller I just got rated for. They wanted $250 for it, and I said okay, and loaded it into my van. It runs. It has the old Cajun will probably know the old pull and pray starter on it, where it doesn't have a spring recoil. It has a rope with a knot on it. You fit in the slot like all the old Army meat generators had. So it's a 2-cylinder Wisconsin, so I'm going to adapt it for a starter. It has a spot for a electric starter. Well, I appreciate you checking out those videos. I really do. I have not sat down and watched. I don't remember the last show I watched. It's been 5 or 6 years since I've watched TV. I have a TV in my house because of my kids, but I don't watch TV. The last movie I saw in theaters was Avatar. I don't know, but that feels like it was a while ago. I can't sit through stuff like that for some reason. Yeah, I'm excited to get this generator or this welder going. Well, welder and generator. I need to go through that gas-powered air compressor it's got. Need some carb work, of course. It's been sitting. It'll be a just welding rig for like field welding. The one rig I have now is more for like pump pads and stuff like that. This will be more of a general repair. I might combine the two. I need to find another 1-ton truck. Yeah, we'll go here for another few minutes, and then I gotta get some stuff done tonight. I'm on the West Coast, so I still have a little bit of daylight out there, actually. Much cooler temperatures going on. I watch YouTube too. I got an air gouging setup. I'm gonna actually show it soon in a video too. I've never used it. I always put YouTube on as background. I got my liked video list I listen to regularly. For a stick welder. That's a good way to go, is a stick welder. I always recommend people starting to weld, get a stick welder. There's a lot of cheap MIG welders out there. The problem I have with people starting out with MIG machines is you can make a really nice looking weld with a MIG machine that has very little penetration. Butt joints and stuff like that, or angle joints, it can look really, really nice. But especially the cheap ones people weld stuff that's too thick and doesn't have the heat to actually make the connection. So a stick welder is a much better way to go. And I just like stick welding too. So I'm biased. I'm biased towards stick welding. I've never owned a Fournet, but I'm familiar with them. I had my Lincoln Tombstone. If you can get yourself a Lincoln Tombstone, especially the older copper cord ones, I use that as my shop stick welder for almost 15 years and never had a problem with it. I that a lot of people give them a bad rap, and you know, but I loved that machine. And you can find those around here, $150 all day long on Craigslist. The newer ones are AC and DC, I believe. Mine was ancient. Yeah, people should preheat first, but and I'm so the way I weld, I'm so taught from older people is you almost don't have a welder unless you have a cutting torch for preheating, cutting stuff, and cutting patches and stuff like that. So I'm just used to always having a cutting torch with me when I do heavy stuff. But especially with MIG welding and stuff, I see very few people preheat stuff. When I'm doing heavy MIGging in the shop, especially now with my bigger three-phase machines, I have one of those propane, it's like a weed burner, dragon style torch I do preheating with. And then use the laser gun thing that shows the temperature. Yeah, a lot of people starting off don't think anything about preheating. Have Lincoln take to it, it also does easy. Miller Thunderbolts are awesome. Yes, they are. So are Miller Dial Arcs, and they're fairly cheap. I got my Miller Dial Arc for I think $400. And I love that. That's the stick machine that replaced my Tombstone. Now it's a big upgrade. I'm a big Lincoln fan, but three of my five welders in my shop are Millers because that's just what's available. I got the big Miller TIG stick machine, the one that everyone wants. I can't remember the number off it. I got the Dial Arc and that three-phase power source, CC power source. But I've always been a big fan of Lincoln. Just have been. She says, "Oh yeah, I'll be closing off here in just a few minutes." Hi, Everett. Sorry, it's hard to catch up with the names here. Do you have an old McCabe? No, I do not. I don't think I've ever heard of a McCabe. I started welding when I was 18. With that, I did one of those really old, I'm sure you guys remember them, the old Craftsman stick welders that had all the holes in them, and you change your plug on for what amperage rating you wanted. Didn't have a dial or anything like that. I had that, and then I got a Miller Thunderbolt. And then I had my first MIG machine was it wasn't a Century. Yeah, it was a Century, smaller than the one I just got rid of. Yeah, I need to get a plasma cutter. I don't have a plasma cutter. I've used one very little. In the field and stuff, it's all cutting torch. Belt driven from a separate motor to headstock. Yeah, a lot of older lathes are like that. Well, a lot of newer lathes are still belt driven. the Reed Prentice chain driven. I should do a video on the hammer collection and the hacksaw collection. The hammer collection has crossed the 120 hammer mark, and the hacksaw collection is approaching 100. The C-clamp collection has crossed the 150 mark. Yeah, I want to do the hacksaw one. I enjoy hacksaws. I just always have. If you think about it, it's a hand tool. You could cut 2-inch, thick steel with that. With a tool you can hold in your hand. I've just always loved hacksaws. I'm sure other people do not love them as much as I do. But I've got some cool ones. The old vintage wood-handled ones. And I've been asked to do by a couple people to do a video on the hacksaw collection and the hammer collection. There's parts of the hoard. That's like if you go to a yard sale and you see a C-clamp for $1, you're not going to not buy the C-clamp. I mean, I should stop buying them, but... Yeah, acetylene is hotter. I do all my brazing with a cut normal. I've been picking up more, speaking of that, old tools. As much as I don't like restoring and painting things, I was going to start on hand tools. So I was thinking about doing another channel called something like amateur restorations or something like that. And I just, once a week, try to power through it. Get used to it. The thing is, I loathe stripping paint and painting things. I loathe it. That's why my machines look the way they do. But mechanically, all my machines are very well maintained and upkept. I don't like painting. And I don't care if all my machines are the same color or not. My friend that has a machine shop, all his machines, he paints them, dark machinery gray, like a lot of people. And that's the first thing he does. He brings something to the shop. It has to be painted the same color as all the other machines. I guess a lot of it is I don't have the time to properly do it. Like to strip the reed down to bare metal, like it should be. Actually, it doesn't look that bad. But yes, I do have a parts washer. I have a safety one, those ones that sit on the barrel. It's full of my coat and some electrical stuff right now. That's right there. I was moving some stuff, so there's stuff in it right there. Yeah, that's my parts washer. And I use the bright green stuff you get at Harbor Freight mixed 12 to 1. 1 gallon of that for 12 gallons of water, and it works very well. It's also what I use in my ultrasonic cleaner. I just fill up a jug out of that and put it in my cleaner. I've been very happy with the way that stuff works. I had a couple of the Harbor Freight power washers before. One of them actually rusted, where the plug went in the bottom, actually rusted through after like 2 years. I thought maybe I was using something too caustic in it, but it was the stuff Harbor Freight sold. I went out to the shop one day and there was a little wet spot underneath it. I thought I just spilled something. The next day, the wet spot was like 10 times bigger. I was like, uh-oh. So yeah, hopefully you guys join later. There's a big, very well tooled turret lathe I'm looking at. Very well tooled, big machine in the 10,000 pound range. So excited to get that in here. I have a little Logan turret lathe right now, but this one is substantially larger. It'll be the second heaviest lathe I have in here. There's a LeBlanc, a square head Regal LeBlanc that goes with it. So very hoping I get that machine, because that'll be cool. He did some production runs for John Deere making bushings. I don't know if they're oilite or just brass or bronze. But that machine would be nifty. It'd be very nifty. Okay, Bachi, I'm actually gonna, I think we're gonna call it. I got some stuff to do tonight. So I'm going to shut this down here. Everyone, stream and commenting. It is most appreciated. Thank you all for watching the videos and subscribing and all that. I cannot tell you how cool that is. Every day there's more, that number goes up, I'm excited. So, yeah, yard sale video tomorrow. Got that welder, that'll be in it. We'll do a another review, and got some more machining work coming up. So yeah, again, have a good night, guys, and girls. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will catch you later.